It's completely unnecessary to clean dust from the inside of the cyclones on Dyson vacuum cleaners. There are misleading videos and propaganda out there suggesting that cyclones naturally clog under normal use if dust is not manually removed by the user, or that there's some advantage to removing it. This is completely false. Such parts of the system only clog and fail if the machine is abused and mistreated, as discussed in other videos on my channel. There's also no formal scientific evidence of any advantage in maintaining these difficult to access parts of the machine. It also contradicts what's in the manual, and alleged reasons for the need to manually clean them instead rely on vague testimony and hearsay from anti-Dyson brand sources. No part of a modern bagless cleaner should ever be flooded with water. The only exception to this is the filter, which is specifically designed to be rinsed. If even necessary, wiping with a dry cloth will suffice most of the time. If there's grime involved, wiping with a lightly damp cloth can provide extra lift. The seals around the bin should never be wetted, however, as otherwise they can become sticky without the dust, which acts as a lubricant, and struggle to open in future. The cyclone assembly should never be washed with water. It's explicitly stated in the manual, and not only is it completely unnecessary, but it risks water pooling and inadequate drying and can risk electrical short circuit. Often, people cite the reason for doing this is to avoid smells and odour buildup. This is a complete myth, and the rest of this video will explain why. Odours are caused by the collection of organic particles, such as pet dander and other things containing bacteria, which can become deposited somewhere along the air path through the machine. So considering the air path starting from front to back, there are several regions that odour-producing dirt and dust can exist. In the floor head or nozzles, in the bin, within the cyclones, or in the filters. The single biggest source of all smells is the contents of the main bin, where most of the dirt is. As already discussed in a video with the first link in the description, this is one of many disadvantages of old-fashioned bag cleaners. It's not always economical to throw bags away after every use before they're full, and as such, they're often supplied with perfumes to mask bad smells, which adds to running costs and environmental impact. As such, the best way to minimise odour buildup is to empty the bin after every use. This might sound impractical, but it's now extremely quick and very clean to do so with the latest Dyson vacuums going forward, since changing form factor to get rid of the cord. From experience, any odours disappear very quickly after emptying the bin, providing you don't pick up any more smelly dirt, of course. The next biggest candidate for odours is the filter. By definition, this captures small particles, and some of which are likely to be organic and bacteria-rich. Modern Dyson cleaners instruct you to rinse the filter at least once every month. This higher frequency isn't because filtration is bad or worse than before, but because of a greater understanding of microbiology and the origin of bad smells. Rinsing frequently minimises the concentration of the organic odour-producing particles. Again, rinsing is a hassle, but the new filters on the most modern Dyson cordless cleaners are so easy to rinse now. They're a single piece requiring a few swirls under a cold tap. If necessary, drying time can be reduced using a small cool fan to ventilate. You should never use a strong heat source or tumble dryer, as this can damage the filter. Other parts of the machine, such as the head, may have large particles blocking it, which could in principle cause or trap bad smells, but there is not likely much coming from there in general. So what about the cyclone assembly? One big myth is that the chambers in the cyclone assembly could be harbouring smells. There's actually very little dirt in the cyclone cones themselves, because the airspeed is so high that they self-clean. Dirt from the smaller cyclones is discharged into a separate chamber in the main bin, which is air-sealed from the main compartment where most of the smelly dirt is. Many people don't realise that this discharge chamber isn't directly part of the airflow path and is flow neutral. While particles in there could be capable of producing smells, those odours are not driven into the airflow or exhausted from the machine, unlike those produced by smelly dirt in the main bin or the filter, which are directly part of the airflow path. As such, dirt in the discharge chamber doesn't contribute significantly to any odours. It's trapped and isolated from the main airflow until it's emptied out. So it's completely unnecessary to remove any dust inside the cyclone assembly. It does no harm, produces no odours in the airflow, and accumulated fine dust is removed from the chamber on emptying. You're not supposed to go into these regions of the cleaner, and no maintenance is required there, and hence why it's so difficult to get in there. Bit of a clue, being behind layers of screws and seals. There are a lot of questionable YouTube videos showing people going outside and blowing dust out with compressed air, making a huge mess, and claiming Dyson vacuums are thus dirty or could fail if you don't do so. Or even worse, videos encouraging hosing with water. This shows a complete and potentially dangerous ignorance of how these machines operate as fluid dynamic systems. They mislead people into thinking the best bagless cleaners are a big hassle by suggesting there's a need to do something extremely cumbersome that's in actual fact completely unnecessary. So look out for them and call them out when you see it. In summary, vacuums should never be cleaned with water except the filter. Fine dirt from the cyclones is isolated from the airflow and contributes no smells. The main source of odours is in the main bin, so empty often if odours are a problem. This is really quick and clean with the latest Dyson models. Wash the filter at least monthly to remove bacteria-rich particles that produce smells. This is really easy in the latest models as there's only one filter to rinse. And finally, always check for YouTube propaganda and call it out when you see it.